Another Brick Fan with a look at the latest collectible minifigure series. This is Looney Tunes. This is set 71030, was released in April 2021. Has 78 pieces, 12 minifigures, and each blind bag cost about $5. Therefore, it's going to cost you about $60 to get this entire set if you can get the 12 unique figures in one run. This was a much rumored set, and in fact this one is scheduled for official release at the end of the month. I believe April 26th is the date on the website. However, I was able to find this at one of my local stores and couldn't pass up the opportunity to grab them. This is a great series. I really like all of the characters. I watched a lot of Looney Tunes as a kid, so all of these characters are very familiar to me. It's only 12 characters, which I guess is the new standard for collectible minifigure series. I thought 16 was probably the ideal amount, but they've cut them back a little bit. I can think of several characters from the Looney Tunes universe that I would have liked to have seen. In fact, the 4 I would have chosen to round out the 16 would be Yosemite Sam, Elmer Fudd, Foghorn Leghorn, and Pepe Le Pew. Just kind of think about some of the other iconic characters from the Looney Tunes franchise. Having said all that, it's really hard to pick a favorite out of these. Bugs Bunny, of course, is probably the most iconic Looney Tunes character there is, but all of these have their charm. The Tasmanian Devil back there in the back is a great character. He was always really fun to see in. I enjoyed the episodes with Marvin the Martian. Thought he was really funny in the episodes he was in. Who doesn't like the epic battles between the Coyote and the Roadrunner? And then, of course, that Speedy Gonzales here in the back, here in the middle row there, kind of behind Wile Coyote right there. He is just a fun character, and we finally got an actual cheese wedge from Lego. So that was kind of nice as well. Really, I don't think there's a bad character in this lot, but let's go ahead and go through and take a look at all of the characters up close. Here are the first 2 minifigures from the Looney Tunes collection. And first up we have Lola Bunny, who you might recognize from Space Jam. She comes with this basketball, which is just a Technic ball piece. And this is Bugs Bunny, probably the most iconic Looney Tunes character. Both of these figures look really good. Just about every one of these Looney Tunes characters has a molded head. Lola Bunny here has her ears tied back with looks like a hair scrunchie, and then Bugs has his ears straight up and down. Great big grin on his face. Lola has a lot more printing on her. So you see the nice printed tank top she's got there in the pale yellow. Some purple and other stuff moving down her legs, which turned out nicely. Bugs does have the little prints on his toes here, which looks good. Lola also has some good side printing down the sides of her legs, and then you can see how her ears are tied back behind her head. And you also see that Lola's legs are dual molded. Both have these little cottontails, which I think turned out very nicely. And obviously what you would expect to see on these bunnies. Next up we have Wile Coyote and the Roadrunner, both of which are very good figures as well. Wile has a similar head to Bugs, except that his cheeks are wider, you see here, and his nose is really long. The Roadrunner, this top feathers here is a separate piece. There's a peg hole in the top of his molded head here. I like how they use the wings here instead of minifigure arms for the Roadrunner. Both of these come with small accessories, so the Coyote comes with this anvil, presumably from Acme Corporation. It would have been nice to have seen an Acme logo kind of printed on this, but you get the idea. And then Roadrunner comes with this bowl of birdseed or maybe eggs, just to kind of depends on how you perceive it. But this is essentially the popcorn piece that we've seen in several sets, just done in this nice yellow color. As far as the other details here, like I said, some good printing here. So you got the insides of the ears that are printed. I like the eyes. This head mold is quite good. Little fur here on his chest and some very subtle printing for the toes on both of these characters. I like the color choices for the Roadrunner with this nougat color and then the pale blue or light blue up top and the slightly darker wings on top of his head. Both of these characters also have tail pieces. You see this nice big, long, thin tail for the Roadrunner and then a nice bushy tail for Wile Coyote. Very minimalistic on the printing on most of these characters, but it does fit with their personalities, so it works out just fine. Next up we have Tweety and Sylvester, and you see Tweety is sporting this very large mallet, and Sylvester the cat has a bat piece. This is actually a brick-built hammer, just done with the round 2x2s, and then one with a hole in it so that allows you to attach the handle for the mallet. And then Sylvester comes with this nice bat piece here with a area right here in the middle for gripping the bat. Good head molds for both of these. So here's Tweety with the really elongated eyes, big eyelashes on her. And you have just a little tiny bit of printing here. She does have the short legs in this darker yellow color. Little tiny bit of printing on her toes there. Sylvester has this also good headpiece. I like the bright red nose. He's got the wide cheeks here with his fur out. Little tiny ears in proportion and also very elongated eyes, making him look very cartoonish. I think they did a good job on this printing here to delineate the white and black fur there. You see his tail's also got the white tip on the back of it. A little print here in the back for Tweety Bird's tail feather. And you see that Sylvester's legs are indeed dual molded. Next up we have Speedy Gonzales and Daffy Duck. And as you see, Speedy comes with cheese wedges. He actually comes with 4 of these, which is what is commonly referred to as a cheese wedge piece, printed with cheese on it. About time, in my opinion. And then we have Daffy, who's holding a rabbit season sign. Speedy is done with this good head mold. He's, of course, a mouse, a very fast mouse, and he has a big sombrero because he is from Mexico. And then Daffy has this really big, bright orange bill, and then the same color is used on the lower part of his legs that I believe are dual molded as well. Just a subtle little hint of a print there. And then, of course, Speedy is wearing a white shirt with a red bow tie. See, they both do have tail pieces. Here's a good mouse tail for Speedy. And then a small little duck tail for Daffy. I remember seeing these in the Disney Collectible Minifigures Series 2 with the ducks there, Scrooge and Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They both look like they have dual molded legs here. So some orange on the bottom here and then the nougat color here for Speedy. You also see the size of this sombrero that Speedy has here and his small mouse tail. No side printing on either one of these, but they do look very good as their minifigure counterparts to the cartoon characters. Next up we have the Tasmanian Devil. Very large headpiece here. Comes like almost all the way down his torso. You can see his accessories of this pie and a turkey leg. But you see that his headpiece comes all the way down the torso. And then he's using these mid-sized legs. So not the short legs, but the ones in between, which were first introduced in the Harry Potter sets that came out in 2018. Marvin the Martian here has a blaster pistol. It's that standard alien blaster. And he's also got this little skirt piece. Printing on both toes for both of these. Marvin, interestingly, is the only figure out of this entire series that actually has a minifigure head. But then he has this helmet piece, which is dual molded, as you can see. We have green and yellow in there. And that is that big kind of brush look that he has that you might remember from the cartoon. The Tasmanian Devil has the same tail piece as Wile Coyote, interestingly enough. But I think it fits just fine with him. You can see some side printing around the toes of Marvin the Martian and this nice brush part of his helmet. No other printing on the backs of either of these figures. This is by far the biggest headpiece. Just it's really wide and it just shows that gigantic mouth. Pretty much takes over the whole figure, which is a really good look. Our last two figures are our two pigs. This is Petunia Pig and Porky Pig. Porky is carrying a sign with his signature catchphrase, "That's all, folks." I'm not good at doing the Porky Pig voice, but you may recall that. Petunia Pig has this tea set. And she's wearing a nice red skirt. Her hair is tied back with these red bows, which I think fits really nicely with her outfit. Porky is wearing a blue jacket over a white shirt, it looks like, with a red bow tie as well. Both of these head molds are really nice. Turned out really good. In addition to the red skirt here, Petunia has this yellow short sleeve shirt on, so she does have side printing on her arms to indicate these short sleeves that she has. See, so it's halfway yellow there. Here's a closer look at those pigtails with the red ribbons on them. The back here on Porky has a very subtle tail piece, kind of sticking out from under his jacket. And I like how they use this kind of flesh color for both of the figures, which I think is very appropriate. Lastly, you also notice they have some toes printed on the front of their feet. Now that we've taken a look at all of the minifigures, let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts on this collectible minifigure series. So overall, I think this is a really great series, as I said at the very beginning. All of these figures turned out fantastic, and I'm happy to have the entire collection. One thing that the Tasmanian Devil comes with is this little plate piece, and it does have a little inverted 2x2 on the back, so it's almost like a top. It can spin pretty good on its own, but I haven't had a lot of luck getting the Tasmanian Devil to spin on it. See if I take all of his accessories out of the way. If we put him on, theoretically, you can spin him like a top, but it takes a lot of practice, and I'm obviously haven't spent a lot of time on it. But I thought that was kind of cool that it came out with this little dust devil or spinning component for the Tasmanian Devil. I did do a video where I opened the bags and tried to point out some of the different things to feel for. A couple of real quick tips. Each of these characters has kind of a unique headpiece. Some of them are similar, like Bugs here and Wile Coyote are very similar headpieces, although some of the others, like perhaps Speedy Gonzales, that's very easy to feel out his head. The Tasmanian Devil's head is fairly easy to feel, but definitely this round piece is the way to go there. Most of the others can be identified by their accessories. It's easy to find a 2x4 plate or a 2x2 kind of square. These rounded pieces for Tweety are extremely easy to find, and so on. So my recommendation is definitely look at the accessories when you're feeling these out to get the figures that you want. All of them are worthwhile, very good figures, and Best of luck to you in collecting this series. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this collectible minifigure series. I'm going to get started on my next video, and until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I've left a link to my collectible minifigures playlist up here on the screen.